बात के बारे में डिस्कशन करते हैं। इस पर चर्चा काफ़ी दिनों से हो रही है, लेकिन अब गवर्नमेंट ने फर्स्ट स्टेप हाइड्रोजन पॉलिसी की तरफ लिया है। ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन की इंडस्ट्री में गवर्नमेंट फोकस इतना क्यों कर रही है? इंडिया की जो टॉप कंपनीज हैं, रिलायंस, अदानी, JSW ग्रुप, वो क्यों इतना वोकल हो गई है लास्ट कुछ महीनों में ग्रीन हाइड्रोजन की तरफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ के लिए? और इस इंडस्ट्री के इकोनॉमिक्स क्या हैं, यूनिट इकोनॉमिक्स क्या हैं, ये सब बात करने के लिए हमारे साथ इस समय इंडस्ट्री के वन ऑफ द मोस्ट रिस्पेक्टेड एनर्जी एनालिस्ट जुड़ रहे हैं, मिस्टर जल ईरानी, एडलवाइस सिक्योरिटीज़ के। जल, गुड मॉर्निंग। और ईटी नो स्वदेश पे बात करने के लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। अर्ली मॉर्निंग। हम स्टॉक से बात नहीं करेंगे, लेकिन अगर आप सबसे पहले अपने व्यूज़ बताएं, जो फर्स्ट स्टेप गवर्नमेंट ने कल लिया है पॉलिसी अनवेल करने के लिए, इसमें 2-3 खास बातें आपने क्या ऑब्जर्व की?
Okay, firstly, my apologies. My Hindi is not good at all.
No problem.
So I'll have to speak in English.
Sure.
I think firstly, the announcements, I think the current announcements will have to be followed by phase 2 of announcements, because what the government has done by this is that they've laid out a broader policy and the specifics will follow. Now, a few of the key announcements are essentially towards facilitating transmission and sort of storage and exports. So, hydrogen is going to be a completely new ecosystem where the existing infrastructure doesn't exist. And hence, towards that, to incentivize transportation, the government has firstly announced that interstate transportation charges will be waived for a period of 25 years for projects which are set up by June of 2025. The second thing is that, as we discuss, I will highlight that India could potentially become the lowest cost producer of green hydrogen in the world. And in fact, I would, in the longer term, I would perhaps even go on to saying it could become the Middle East of the world. But having said that, hydrogen is a difficult molecule to handle, and to export, it has to be converted into ammonia. To facilitate sort of port facilities and hence exports, they've announced, facilitating setting up of bunkers near port for storage, for which the port authorities will facilitate land, etc. And thirdly, I would say is that this industry is also going to involve several ministries and approvals across the chain, statutory clearances, basically, not just ministries but statutory clearances. So they've announced a single portal which will be established for all these statutory clearances, and these clearances should be provided preferably within 30 days of receipt of application. So I think these are the key things to facilitate the whole infrastructure rollout in the green hydrogen space.
Jal, for a moment, let's assume कि ये सारे elements they start falling in place with the passage of time. Obviously, it appears that the ecosystem, including government and players, have it on their priority. लेकिन अगर हम आगे बढ़ें और हम 3 to 5 year पिक्चर देखें, तो यूनिट इकोनॉमिक्स कैसे प्ले आउट होते हैं? कितना कैपेक्स इसमें लगेगा और कितने प्राइस पर केजी पर आपको लगता है सक्सेसफुल हैं? कितने वॉल्यूम ज़रूरी होंगे बड़े प्लेयर्स के लिए? और जो लास्ट पॉइंट ये है कि क्या इतना बड़ी साइज ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी है कि क्या इंडिया एक लार्ज प्लेयर ग्लोबली बन सकता है हाइड्रोजन एक्सपोर्ट्स के बारे में? क्योंकि लार्जर एम तो वो नजर आ रहा है।
See, the capex intensity is going to be extremely large. Some estimates put it in several trillions of dollars. And one needs to understand why. Because of two reasons. One is the nature of this business is that it's not raw material intensive, it is capital intensive. So to produce green hydrogen, you basically need renewable power, and for renewable power you need capital intensive solar modules and setting up a solar farm, which again is not intensive in terms of operating costs, but it is the capital cost. And similarly, for an electrolyzer which produces hydrogen, the biggest cost is basically the cost of the electrolyzer itself. The second reason why it's capital intensive is because it is not, hydrogen is one part of the entire new energy opportunity, as we call it, or the government's been calling it. And therefore, the entire ecosystem is being developed, right from solar module manufacturing to developing renewable energy to green hydrogen, the transportation facility, port facilities, and the downstream usage also, which India at the moment is already the third largest user of hydrogen, but it's mostly for captive purposes, such as refineries consume 54%. And they produce it internally. But now if you have to become a merchant producer, then you need to have a significantly greater infrastructure. So it is going to be extremely capital intensive. Now, where the unit economics are concerned, firstly, India has, so if one looks at the entire chain, okay, India, in terms of module manufacturing itself, with the government sort of providing significant incentives, essentially some studies suggest that it is as cheap as China, which is produces 3/4 of the modules in the world. Now, the reason behind that significantly is that India has got very cheap engineering skills. I mean, it's EPC and engineering skills, where its cost is about half of that of China. So that's a very significant advantage. So advantage starts from the very basic, which is of module manufacturing itself. And then it's got the advantage of sun and sand. We are sit in a favorable geographical zone. Sand is used to produce silicon for modules. That's a plenty globally. So then you become very low cost renewable energy generator in the world, which you already are. And then you use that to generate hydrogen, where electrolyzer cost globally itself to generate hydrogen is halving. Given India's significant and relatively competitive cost engineering skills, there the cost will also not only just halve, it will become a much smaller fragment of that. So there are companies which have gone on record to say that India's green hydrogen cost could be less than $1 per kg, which would be effectively 1/4 of global levels of both green as well as grey hydrogen cost today. Of course, global costs are also coming down, but India could be about half of global levels, even after global costs come down.
All right, Mr. Irani, thank you so much for that valuable input.
Sure.
A rare voice जो आप सुन रहे थे एडलवाइस से और अपना clearly view देते हुए green hydrogen policy